One of the big areas that we deal with are some of the problems and pitfalls with respect to employment taxes. And unfortunately, the situation where employers don't pay either in full or timely employment taxes. And that's a big concern in and of itself. But what a lot of employers don't realize until it's too late is that personal liability that can come along with the failure to pay employment taxes. So at the federal level, employment taxes encompass a variety of different things, both obligations of the employer and obligations of the employee. When the payroll taxes are the obligation of the employee, so the personal income tax and the employee's portion of FICA, it is the employer's obligation to withhold that from the paycheck, and then they hold it in trust and remit it to the government at the applicable time. But sometimes they don't do so. And the temptation for either a financially distressed company or a company that has a little bit of naivete or lack of sophistication in internal controls is not to pay those employment taxes when they're due. What can happen then is the IRS and at the state level, the Employment Development Department can go after people personally. 6672 has two elements, one of which is responsibility. This would be if the individual has the ability to direct payments to creditors. And what is often confusing to clients is that is a difference between the ability to direct payments to creditors and the actual doing of so. Many clients come in and say, but I never signed checks. And we have to have the unfortunate conversation and say, the law doesn't care whether or not you actually exercise that. It's whether you did have the ability to direct payments to creditors. And the second element is, did you know or should you have known that the employment taxes were not being paid? So if the government can link together those two components, there is potential for personal liability to that employer for failing to pay their employment taxes. So that's when the consequences start to get very severe. There are other consequences as well, including potential injunctions to either enforce the employment tax obligations or injunctions to shut down the employer, either of which can be very costly and can jeopardize the entire business.